I put one manifold gasket on there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get away without having to remove the push rods and the rocker arms, because the engine comes pre-installed and everything's preset. Now to do this, you know, I've worked in a lot of shops and I've never seen a guy actually take it apart like that and do it again. I suppose when you read the gasket, it says on it, I think I showed you earlier, it shows you this side up, and then up here it says do not cut. There's the one on the bottom that goes on the outside of the push rods, and then the top one is inset. This one's outset and this one is inset. In the inset it tells you do not cut, and they don't want you to cut it. I don't know why, but I've done over 100 of these years ago when they were coming in. It's very rare you see them anymore because they're getting old, but I've done over 100 of them, and every one that I've ever had to do, like just change the intake gasket, because you know, you start hitting your customer up with, well, we're going to have to take the valves apart and readjust them, and then it's going to be a big old extra cost, and I just didn't feel like doing it. And you know, I just cut them. And you don't have to cut the bottom ones. I don't recommend cutting the bottom ones because you got to have something holding it all together. But it's got a like a little setting plastic piece that goes in a hole. It's like a line-up thing. You push that into the hole and it holds it all pretty steady. You just don't want to bend it all up. But it sits pretty good there. See, and it's not going to go. And this one, they don't give you gaskets here. You just put silicone in there and fill it up on the front and the rear. And then you just make sure this thing is centered. Now there's something else I do, I use this stuff. It's a copper spray gasket. I don't like using, it's made by Permatex. I don't like using the blue stuff, which actually comes out like a purplish color, dark purple. That stuff's real sticky, and if you do have to take it apart, man, it's a bear to get off of there. So what I use is the copper spray. It's more of a rubberized contact, and you put a spray of film on there, and you don't have to worry about it, because when you get that in there, that's going to stay in position enough to line up all your bolts. And I'm going to do the same to this side, and I'll show you exactly where I cut it. I'll actually cut one for you here so you can see. But you can see how it sits in there just nice. It's not going anywhere. Once you get the silicone in place and let it sit with the tacky stuff. Now this stuff, you want to spray it on and let it dry for a while till it gets kind of tacky, so that when you put it up here you can stick it and it'll stay. That hasn't been done to this yet. I just put that on there to just give you an idea what it looks like if you do cut the inside, the ones that go behind the push rods. And when you cut that, you'll have to spread these out a little bit to get them around the push rods, because you want to leave a little bit of an edge right there. I don't know why I do that. It just seems to make sense to do it, because it's really not going to touch anything. That just once you get it sealed and sprayed and then stuck on there, it's going to stay nice and solid. When you put your silicone on the ends, put a good thick bead here, so when you set your intake on there, it squishes it down, and torque your bolts. So I'm going to show you the cutting process of the gasket. Okay, what you'll want to do is you want to get a good pair of, I call them aviation snips, tin snips. Make sure they're good and not all spread out, so they're going to squish the gasket to get cut. And you got to make sure that you got this side up when you're looking at it. And you'll also see the do not cut on the top, which is the inner. So you want the side facing up so you can see which one is the inner. It's actually the only ones that say do not cut. You have to cut 3 of them. You have to cut this one, and then this one, all the inners. You see how they go in, they indent in, and the bottom ones indent out. You don't have to remove those. Those will sit over the push rods fine. These, you cut them. Like I said, also it's going to help you people that really aren't knowledgeable, because if you had to do that, an intake on one of these, and you've never adjusted the valves, there's a big sequence that goes along with to do. You kind of got to do top dead center, and then intake of one cylinder and exhaust of another one, and then you turn it 180 degrees, and you do that till you get them all done, and it's quite a job. And if you mess up, then, well, you got to take all that stuff apart, because you can't just take the valve covers off without removing the two upper plenums. You got to get down to where it's just the intake manifold. So this one's got three type of intakes. It's got the regular intake manifold, then it's got a center manifold, which is the center plenum, and then you have the upper plenum. So anyway, this is a shortcut. This will save you a lot of time. I mean, if you do it right, don't try and sue me if it doesn't work for you, because I'm going to show you it works on this one, because you'll see the car when it's running. You just got to make sure you do it right. You cut the tabs that say do not cut, that are on facing in when the gasket, it says this side up. And you cut the inside tabs, not the outside ones, because the outside ones will clear. And then there's a line right there. It's almost like they made it for you to cut it. And I cut it right at the corner of this right here. So I keep them little curves right there. So let me see if I can do this and have you see it at the same time. Yeah, just like that. Nice and simple, see? Bam. And that gives you clearance for the push rods, and you don't have to take it all apart. Okay, the same thing. This is a little dowel pin that goes in the hole in the manifold that helps you keep it all together. And then you'll have the bottom ones helping keeping it straight, so you won't have too big of worries. Like I said, I go right to the tip of that. I mean, you could actually go a little longer if you really wanted to, but really they're not doing nothing, because the manifold bolts hold it all together. It's kind of like, I can tell you, this is almost a joke just to get more money out of folks. Because bam, there's two, and I got one more. It'll be three all together. Oh, I'm doing this watching the camera lens. I probably shouldn't. Am I there yet? Alright, see? Alright, we'll move on over to the end. Okay, you can see that it's cut, so I'm gonna kind of slide these in behind, just like that, nice and easy. Slip it in there. You got your dowel pin here. It's got to go right there. Bam, and voila! See? Like downtown Freddie Brown. Just kidding. But I just did that to show you, because now I'm going to spray them with the copper gasket and let it tap up when and get those nice and tacky, and get this center ready to go. It's all cleaned up and ready, and I got the intake ready to go and cleaned up. Had it at the machine shop getting jet cleaned, and chemicals run through it in their jet clean system, and it's all ready for assembly. So I'm going to put this manifold on, and you'll see that this technique actually works great, and this way you can just leave everything the way it came from the rebuild shop. I mean, really, when they're at the rebuild shop, they should probably put those on there for you, but I always use this stuff anytime I'm spraying intake gaskets or head gaskets. I definitely use it on that stuff. It's great for head gaskets. I don't use it for other stuff, just only intakes and head gaskets. Everything else, pretty much I use just silicone for. Permatex used to be the thing, but when Permatex days are gone, unless you want something to seal like forever, because those things it's just a bear to clean them up. So anyway, let me get to this. I'll be back.